Hey guys, Russell Linville here, sports physical therapist. Thanks for tuning in. It's Become a Better Human Project. This is a Throwers Thursday. Today we're going over what do I do for general strength testing for initial evaluation for my baseball and overhead athletes. One of the things we look at here is a maximum voluntary isometric contraction using a handheld dynamometer. And so this goes back to a Byram et al. Study from 2010. They were working with the Rockies and they were doing preseason testing for a span of 5 years. And so in residency, we learned all of these strength tests, and we're going to be going over them with you here today. I'll put the link to that study in the show notes so that you can, of course, look that information up yourself and look through the methods and all of that. So the first test, this is Cole. Cole's going to be helping me out today. He's going to be my patient. The first test we're going to be doing is external rotation strength at 0 degrees. So all you'll need, of course, is a towel roll. So we'll put that under the elbow for this test. And then here's what we have is a handheld dynamometer. So this is just essentially a handheld force plate. When force is applied through this pad here, it spits out a number of pounds or newtons or whatever we want to set it to. And it helps us determine a more accurate way to determine stress strength testing rather than a manual muscle test, which of course is just graded 0 to 5. So this is a much more specific way to do strength testing. If you don't have one at your clinic or your gym, you should look into investing in one. Okay, so you're going to have Cole sit back against the wall. The reason we're doing this is we're going to make sure his spine is stable against the wall and he's not cheating. We're going to try to get true external rotation motion only. And so the things I do is I take a towel roll, we'll put it under Cole's elbow. It should be above the medial malleolus. Cole's going to have his back against the wall. His head can be off the wall a little bit if he wants. And the main thing I tell Cole here is that as he's doing this test, I don't want his left or his contralateral shoulder to pull off the wall or rotate towards me. And so what you want to do with your patient is you just explain to him, hey, I'm going to put the device right here on the distal part of your forearm or the end of your wrist for layman's terms, and you're going to just have him push out into it. And the towel roll there is to cue them one, we do this with rotator cuff strength and we would put a towel roll there, but we also want to make sure they don't try to abduct in the frontal plane here as they're pushing out. So they got to squeeze that towel in and push outward. So we set the device here, we give him a countdown, 3, 2, 1, go, and then he pushes in as hard as he can. Okay, right after that, we go into scaption testing. So we know flexions here, we know abductions here. Scaption is going to be a little bit off from the sagittal plane, so the scapular plane. And you think of like the full can test here. So we put the device right at the distal forearm again. I like to put my other hand on the shoulder. We stabilize here. We say 3, 2, 1, go, and he pushes up as hard as he can into the device. Some guys are very strong, and you might have to position yourself like this, and so they can push up so that you can tolerate them pushing up. You really don't want them to be able to beat you or beat your force up. They don't want to be pulled up, so sometimes you got to get in a better position. After that, we'll angle this camera down a bit so you can see. We're going to go into internal and external rotation testing. And so the key here is you want the elbow to be right across from the shoulder joint. So we're going to raise his arm up, and this would be looking at external and internal rotation strength at 90 degrees of abduction. The first one was at 0 degrees of abduction. The motion that you want this patient to perform is to spin their arm upward like this, and then also spin their arm downward like this. So for external rotation, we grab the device, we put on the back side of their distal wrist, distal forearm. You stabilize their elbow with your hand. You cue them as you push up or you rotate up into this position. I don't want your arm to migrate up the table. So we'll do this with Cole. Ready, Cole? We're going 3, 2, 1, push, go, 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 go. Good, rest. And then we of course switch to internal rotation, which you switch hands, put your hand here, the other hand goes with the device down at the distal wrist, now on the volar side, and you have the patient then push into you. Let's go ahead and push. Push, 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 push. Again, you want true internal rotation, a spin through the upper arm. One of the ways guys try to cheat is they'll do a lat pull down. Essentially, they'll pull this whole complex down into the pad as they go. That's something you want to avoid. So you can go and sit up, man. This is strength testing, initial evaluation for baseball players. Thank you guys for tuning in. Become a Better Human Project. Please subscribe to these videos if you like them. Next week, we're going to be going over what I look for as in terms of a motor control assessment for these athletes on the first day that they come in. Thanks for tuning in.